Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Just Y'all to Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
What's up?
Ladies and gentlemen, I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific Connor himself, Zealeus.
It is good to see you, good sir. How goes it on this beautiful and wonderful Thursday night?
Well, it is a little bit weird because last Thursday we were doing something. We just weren't doing the Thursday Night Hangout.
We're doing it at the... What time was it actually at? I don't remember anymore.
7:30.
Oh, well, so it was during the same time-ish.
Yes, ish. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is the Thursday Night Hangout. It's a live show where we try our best to cover the topics most important to you during the show. Of course, if you haven't submitted your topic, your question, or your opinion, please do so in the chat, and we will try to add it to the show. If we do, unfortunately, run out of time, we will add it to the very next show. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. And that, of course, the quintessential jumping into point has got to be MomoCon 2023.
Indeed.
So, MomoCon 2023 happened this past weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it had a total of 48,000 unique attendees to the convention. There were plenty of panels to go around. There were plenty of indie games to check out. There were plenty of voice actors and plenty of shenanigans to go around.
Indeed. I greatly enjoyed the MomoCon. Even though it was 48,000 people, it never really felt crazily packed. There were maybe a few potential layout conundrums that I think could be alleviated. But it was a nice and cozy feeling.
Yeah.
When you're walking around, you know, you had the vendor hall, you had the game hall, you obviously had the panel areas. Just lots of good, fun vibes all around. I really enjoyed it. It's always a good atmosphere. I like how they've expanded into the other areas of the Georgia World Congress Center that they were not in. And I think they started going there last year where they expanded in the vendor hall.
I believe so. I
know it's not just the vendor hall, but
but B
hall.
And
yeah.
So
yeah, I think the bigger floor space will serve them better as time goes on, where they have very, very easily can expand their space to kind of, you know, have bigger space to spread the people out. So yeah, it was definitely a very good time that I greatly enjoyed. I would say the one thing that is interesting to me is they don't really have. I mean, I know I'm not a big anime person, so I totally acknowledge that when it comes from the names of the panels.
Yep.
But they don't have like big name panels. You know, like you go to some other conventions and like lines will be wrapped around the building trying to get in that one panel. They never really have like those big panels that, like, you know, half of the entire convention is going to want to go to.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit it's a little difficult to figure out where those panels were, because there were some big panels that were packed to the gills, but it was spread out like all over the place. Like, I can't tell you how many times I was walking around the convention and I see this huge line. I'm like, what is this for? Because
it was usually some like YouTube singing thing I found.
There was a YouTube singing thing. There was some, you know, a bunch of voice actors getting together to kind of like shoot the shit about yesteryear and whatnot. But you're right. You don't have the, you know, like the Doctor Who panel or the Star Trek Next Generation panel.
Yeah.
Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, there's a lot of really good.
It's just different. Yeah, you're right. I would not say it's a bad thing. It's just a different thing, is how I would put it.
Yeah. No. So while Ultra Confusion was there, we did conduct, I believe, 14 indie interviews,
Nice.
and we recorded 4 panels. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. We do have one panel that's already been edited, and I'll be posting it soon. Unfortunately, video games changed for the good, ? For some reason, the video went out after 57 minutes. So we'll have to put a disclaimer there.
Huh.
It literally, the file shows that there's more, but it's completely kaputzed.
Is the audio gone too, or is it just the video?
Everything freezes. So I don't know what happened. There must have been something weird when it transferred, and I don't have access to that backup.
Welcome to technology.
Exactly. And then there was another panel. Ironically, the 3 panels that were not our panels all revolved around tabletop RPGs. The first one, making fighting interesting. Looks like that one turned out well. Unfortunately, the Beyond D&D one, the camera seems to have picked up more of the audio coming from outside of the room than inside the room. So I'm going to see what I could do, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that one. And the final one is how to get your TTRPG published, which I think that audio I think is okay as well. So
what you do next year is get a 200-foot cable so you can connect from the camera all the way over to the mixing board.
Yeah. Now,
I did have.
No, keep going.
I did have one interesting panel. So I went to a panel. It was like villains. Are they really bad? Basically, it's basically the idea of like, was Thanos bad? You know, that the old meme. But what's interesting was the panelists never showed up. So it's almost like, you show up like to your college class. No one's like, is the professor coming? I don't know. Did they send something? So 3 people who did not know each other at all decided to basically just get up and host a panel. But I'll say my having gone to MomoCon panels came in use because for some reason the mixing board was not working. So I got off my ass and was able to get the mics working for the panelist. But basically came a row of basically like half the audience like went up to the aisle and like gave their opinion of who was not really the villain, or like they didn't, or like they didn't do anything wrong. Now I don't watch a lot of anime, so I didn't get like honestly 95% of the references.
Right.
But that's okay.
That's true.
I did get the Last Airbender one.
There you go. Okay, so but here's the thing. One thing that I've found out about MomoCon, for the most part, yes, there are going to be those individuals who can, discuss things way over an individual's head. But the other thing is that there are a ton of people who are more than just anime lovers. There are certain conventions out there who they're very strict with their fandom and find it really weird when someone has the ability to have a fandom outside of that specific fandom.
I mean, it's still very anime heavy,
yes.
But like for someone like myself who's not really into anime, I still find it an enjoyable anime.
Yes.
It's still, I have fun. I enjoy walking around. I just mentioned like they have the tabletop ones. They have the panel I went to, which could have been a clusterfuck, but ended up being entertaining. So there's still things to do. It's not like you don't like anime, don't come to MomoCon.
Exactly. No, and I mean, of course, for all the confusion, it's beautiful that the indie developers section basically continues to grow. Like I said, we have 14 interviews, ranging from about 2 minutes long to about 8 minutes long. So there is a good kind of variance in there, and we got to look at or interview a lot of interesting games. There were 2 games. One a card game and one a video game revolving around corgis. There was a horror game. There was a kids game. There was a shooter. I mean, there was what was the Rabbit and Steel one? Was a rogue.
The rating roguelike.
Yeah, rating roguelike. So I mean, there was just a very wide variety of games there, and it was fun to get to check them out and get to interview the individuals.
I mean, it is kind of an interesting juxtaposition where it is still very much an anime convention, but they obviously are trying to put the emphasis on other things like the indie gaming area, or the video game area that they have, where you could play whatever games they had, or they had like the large arcades. So they're still trying to cater to other fandoms.
Yeah.
And I think if like let's just say there's a bunch of people want to give panels about, let's just say Doctor Who or Battlestar Galactica, like MomoCon would be like, cool.
Yep.
Like they would be very open to any kind of the nerdy fandom things. One thing I did find interesting, so I was walking around the panel room, or not the vendor hall, and I saw a vendor who I see at other conventions. I started talking about like and basically it's really cool. They basically do like pixel artwork, but it's like shadow box style.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. But they're all based off of like video games and other stuff. And I started like, hey, do you got anything for Final Fantasy 14? The response was like, oh, we're still working on intellectual property rights with Sony and Square Enix, which I was a little bit taken aback. But it's like, because we've talked about it a number of times on the show, usually related to Nintendo smacking down IPs. But yet we walk around, vendor halls, and I think it's a pretty easy assumption to make that most of the vendors are not getting any type of IP approval to make their artwork.
Right.
So I just kind of found it fascinating that this fun who had the artwork, if they had it in the game I wanted, I probably would have got, didn't, because they were actually doing what they're supposed to and talking to the publisher or developer to be like, hey, can we use your product in this? And they have not got the okay, so they haven't done it. I just find it interesting where, you see all the other vendors who just charge ahead and do it. But this one vendor was like, nope, we're on the kind of, up and up as far as the IP goes.
It's interesting when you actually see vendors going, a step above to make sure that they don't get themselves in trouble.
Well, I would think it's also might be a bit of longevity of a vendor.
That too.
If you're just like a casual artist who does it, for fun versus
this is your livelihood.
Yeah, that might also be a little bit different level of what is your kind of adherence to IP laws, because that can ruin your livelihood if you're not, if somebody does decide to be disgruntled with your artwork.
Yes, agreed. But so I mean, overall, MomoCon was fun as always. I was extremely exhausted after 4 days straight of MomoCon, but it was worth it. I will remedy my one faux pas that I did this year, and that was forget to register for the red lot parking. I do not want to have to trudge all the way out to the yellow lot every single day.
Did you see that there's a very important piece of news for next year when it comes to MomoCon?
Yes, and it is just for next year, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, instead of the usual or the standard Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for 2024 and for 2024 only, the convention will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Indeed. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, so I'm guessing that, something about the World Congress Center probably is booked that Wednesday or Thursday or something, but it happens. And if you're going to get your membership, now is the time to do it for next year, because it's basically half price versus buying it like the day of.
Yes. If you know you're going to MomoCon, then go ahead and get your ticket, because it saves you a shit ton of money.
Like right now, a Saturday only ticket for next year, $60.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me, sir, how much is if you purchase it today, is a 4-day pass for next year?
I do not know.
$60.
Well, there you go. So get your shit together, folks, and go ahead and get your ticket for next year's MomoCon. Alter Confusion will be back in a media capacity. It was fun. It was kind of a little bit relaxing not to have a table, but at the same time, it kind of sucked that we didn't have a table, because we really get to talk to. I mean, we literally were just like media talk. We didn't get to just chill with the regular convention goers and shoot the shit about video games. So that I kind of missed.
We did get to do that at the panel.
Yeah, we did. We did get to do that during the panel, but I'm used to doing that over a smattering of all 4 days instead of just that 1 hour and 20 minutes.
That's fair.
So, but anyways, so outside of MomoCon, let's see what other news happened this week. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, I have not been able to keep up with everything, but I do know that the Screenwriters Guild is still striking, and that there are rumors that say that if they depending on, there is a potential of the outcome having ramifications about AI script writing in the future.
I mean, it makes sense if you're in the Writers Guild that you probably are not a big fan of AI writing for obvious reasons, because hypothetically, that's something that could take your job. So I get it, preemptively trying to rise against that, basically. And like as a human being, I'm usually in favor of, we'll call it the little man, the everyday man, the non-millionaire, rich, Sony exec who's making these movies. I
Yep.
want the writer to be able to make an affordable living. And I think it's one of those things. I look at it as like, we use AI at our job. You're probably doing some form or fashion. And I think it's good as a supplement. Like, help me out with my job without replacing the humans. Yeah, I think there's definitely certain ways it can assist without just, firing an entire party of people and be like, hey, I'm going to have a computer do this for you. I think that's probably how most people feel, honestly. Yeah, but I mean, it's smart of them to try to get that locked down now because, I mean, AI is coming. I mean, it's here. It's only going to become more entrenched.
Yeah, its usage is definitely going to get ramped up, for better or for worse. Like, and we've discussed this before. There are definitely instances that that utilizing AI as a supplement can be, thoroughly beneficial. I know that there's quite a few dungeon masters out there that allow for the AI chat program to basically help generate NPC dialogue, which,
oh man, we've been doing that since AIM.
Yeah.
The A America Online days, we would have the chat bots.
Yeah, buddy. So I mean, I hope that everything works out. The individuals, the writers behind all these shows are really, without good writing, you wouldn't have the show. So,
I mean, that's why we watch the shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you need good writing with, good quotes and dialogue and all the other good stuff that goes with it.
Now, speaking of publishers and all that stuff, there is a new bit of information that's come out about that game RedFall that it's just been getting canned left and right. And it turns out that RedFall was being, I think, created by ZeniMax as Microsoft was purchasing them, and there was this thought that when the merger was completed, that Redfall would either get scrapped or would get retooled. Microsoft, unfortunately, decided to do a completely hands-off approach. It just said, keep doing what you're doing. And much to the chagrin of a very small staff, basically an understaffed development group, and no real direction as to what the hell they were going to be doing with this game. That's the result of Redfall. Now, the funny thing is that there was one thing that Microsoft did change, and that was that they did cancel the PlayStation version of Redfall. So it was going to be just PC and Xbox. But in the end, it kind of backfires because at least the PlayStation owners didn't waste their money. Because we're talking average ratings of about 50%.
It was 5D chess from Sony all along.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, there are definitely games out there that should have been canceled, and there are some times where the developers are the ones who are begging for it to be canceled, and unfortunately, sometimes the powers that be either don't really listen, don't give a shit, or they just think that the name alone will bring in some money.
Such is the history of all products.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just find it interesting that now the Redfall developers are coming out going, look, man, we tried so hard to get this thing canned or just retooled, because there was quite a push to retool it from the multiplayer game to more of a single player co-op offline to try to play to some of their strengths, but of course they're like, no.
No, once you have the multiplayer goodness, you must try to milk the game for every penny they're worth with online crap.
Of course. You got a nickel and dime 'em until you can't see straight. There was also apparently a push back in, I think it's like 2022, to introduce quite a lot of microtransactions, but that was canned, which was interesting. But yeah. So sorry to those Redfall people, I guess, is the best or the only thing I could say.
Alas, it was honestly not a game I was probably following a whole lot, but
yeah,
it is what will happen with online games or single player games.
Unfortunately, it's one of those games where I didn't really know about it until everyone's basically started shitting on it. So there.
I mean, we've had that since the dawn of gaming, honestly.
Agreed. So speaking of gaming, and this is kind of cool for those PC gamers out there, PC fighting gamers out there. I know that there's a lot of hype building up about Street Fighter 6 coming out, and it's gonna be the best of the best. And it turns out that there is a benchmark tool that you could download today and have it run on your computer to give you an idea of how you stack up to what's required and what will make the game look pretty on your computer, which I find very interesting. I mean, that's schmott.
I haven't played a fighter game since probably like Street Fighter 2 Turbo in the arcade.
Yeah. I
could never get into fight. I never had the patience. I mean, I could always do the spam like A or like the defensive position. But like, I never could learn combos. Like, I just didn't have the patience to practice and memorize like 18 button sequences to learn the Super Master Uber combos.
Well, yeah, I think I bought Street Fighter 4 for the 360, maybe.
I think the big one was Killer Instinct. I remember I had like nutty 40 button like combos.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, no.
It's amazing. Or if you played Guilty Gear and you've got the one hit combo that if you could pull off, and if the attack actually hit, it was game over.
No.
Look, the thing is, I wish that more companies would do this. If it's going to be a multi-platform game, right? Like Street Fighter 6, and there's a shit ton of other games out there, and you as an individual who potentially has maybe one or two platforms, it would be nice to have a benchmark tool that basically said, if you try to play this game on this computer, it is going to run like shit, or you're going to be just fine. I would like that before purchasing.
Well, I remember it was, what game was it? Phantasy Star Online actually gave you the character creative before the game came out that you could then import into the game. That I appreciated.
Yeah.
No, some of these newfangled games, you can spend like hours on creating your character. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yes, that's another thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love some of these like character creation tools, but there comes a time where I get so freaking pissed because I'm OCD, and so if you allow me to get that much detail in there, I'm going to sit there and try to, finagle every single little thing, and then by the end of it, it looks nothing like I thought it was going to.
The one thing I won't mess with when it comes to character creators is like the face in terms of like the ears, the chin height,
Mhm.
the nose, those things I won't mess with because I just don't have the patience for messing. Like I'll find the preset face I like,
Yeah.
and then that's with like say like the hair or the eye color.
Mhm.
When it comes to like the face structure, I'm just like I'll end up creating like a demon like whose face was stomped on by accident.
Well, you don't mess with the lip thickness and the narrowness of the nose bridge
Oh,
and
oh, nope, nope, nope. You're
the
gonna give me like a tick over here, man. I can't do it.
the degrees of your ears off of your head.
Well, okay, that I'll do if you got like the crazy long ears.
Yeah.
Like if you got the elven long ears, okay, you got me there. I've been known to mess with those.
All right. There you go.
Or like on the body, it's like you can mess with like the size of the trapezoids
Mhm.
or how long are the fingers. At some point, I'm like, I just don't care.
But every single knuckle has to be perfect. And your right pointer finger needs 2 extra hair on each knuckle as opposed to the other hand. Because yeah. Yes, yeah. There's definitely customization overkill. But hey, some people love that stuff. So I mean, I'm not gonna. I
they allow for people who want to do it. Sure.
Yeah. No, I'm more in your boat. I kind of just I look at the presets and then I might move like the I might make some small change to maybe like the chin or maybe the nose.
Yeah.
But when it gets to like some of the like like the cheekbones and the eye sockets and all that weird stuff, I'm just like, no, thank you, I'm good.
Yeah, there definitely comes a point where I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. So, but anyways, all right. So, some people may have, some people who are huge fans of League of Legends may have heard some very interesting news coming out about the North American leagues. It turns out that Riot is threatening to cancel the North American eSports season if the League of Legends players strike continues and a deal cannot be reached. So basically, here's the deal. There has been a kind of like the pros and amateur level of League of Legends, and there was for I think like maybe a year or two some kind of clause that said that each pro team has to have kind of like a like an amateur team underneath it, and then they removed it, and immediately a bunch of teams dropped that. I think there was like 14 teams, and now, or maybe it was 12 teams, and now it's down to like 7 amateur teams, and there's just a bunch of craziness going on. The Players Association did release a statement saying the walkout vote was overwhelmingly passed. This is not a decision LCS players have come to lightly. Countless discussions and debates were made between all LCS players in the week leading to this historic vote. One thing is clear from those conversations: our players want to play and compete above all else. Joining hands to put competition aside is a testament to the significance and urgency of the issues at hand. We stand at this impasse because actions were taken by Riot without prior communication or discussion with the LCS players. The LCSPA sincerely hopes Riot will avert this walkout by joining us in the coming days to have open and transparent discussions so that we can forge collaborative solutions to ensure the best future for the LCS and the NACL. And the NACL is basically like the minor leagues.
I mean, I'll say kudos to the players for basically standing up for the amateurs.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, unfortunately, Riot probably doesn't really care about the North American pro scene as much as, like, say, the Korean scene or some of the other esports scenes, which are a much bigger deal than we have in the States. I mean, if you're into online esports, like let's just say League of Legends in this case, if they shutter the North American, well, you could still watch the Korean version or any other league for that matter when it comes to League of Legends. I mean, it's not like, the NBA goes on strike, you've lost, your best players. Like,
Right.
That's all you have. But you come to esports, you still have the other ones. So unfortunately, I mean, kind of going back to the writer's strike, I'm always in favor of, the employee getting paid, especially Riot Games prints money by the bucket truck with their games. They can certainly afford to pay their players, but I'm not sure how much leverage the players actually have, unfortunately, in this case.
So, just for those out there, NACL stands for North American Challengers League. And I was wrong. It actually was 16 teams, and now it's already gone down to 7. It was launched last year, so that's how fast it turned around. The LCSPA, the body representing the region's professional players, say that this plan will see an estimated 70 people, that's players, coaches, etc., lose their job. So basically, you're talking, with the drop of 11 teams, you're seeing about 70 people no longer being able to be a part of the North American Challengers League. There's also some sort of other issue that's happening about some rule changes where there's they're removing some sort of ranking for players, and this is basically allowed to this would allow for teams to basically field scab players. Scab players are basically the like if you've ever watched the movie The Replacements, when the football league goes on strike, so that the players go on strike, you get these other athletes to basically fill in for them until they can bring the real players back. And of course, they can't bring the real players back. Well, then they still have the scabs to kind of help feed the machine. So
yeah,
that's no bueno. Let's see. The LCSPA has been aware for over a week of attempts to require teams to field scab players at the start of the season. We continue to actively reach out to players outside of the LCS with clear and simple message: do not agree to play for any LCS organization as a replacement player. This walkout is for the benefit of all league players in North America. Crossing the line puts all players' futures in risk. LCS, NACL, and amateur. Crossing the line undermines player negotiation power. If you have already agreed to a replacement contract, please contact the LCSPA for further counsel on how to navigate your situation. Because here's the thing. If this walkout continues, what's going to happen is that there's not going to be any North American representation when the League of Legends world stuff happens. And I'm sure that the League of Legends North American teams don't want to lose out on that money. So that's why Riot's like, let's just make it so that we could help you field a team if we can't get these boneheads to see our way.
I somehow have a feeling. I mean, I don't have the numbers, obviously, but that the higher streaming Twitch or YouTube live players for League of Legends are probably more important to Riot's eyeballs for playing the game than the North American Esports League.
True.
It's just, it kind of feels like, when the Overwatch 2, or not Overwatch 2, wow. When Overwatch 1 was doing their whole, like, we're doing our, location-based franchises. Was it like 6-7 years ago when that first kind of came out, was like kind of the height of North American esports.
Yep.
And it really feels like since then, it's kind of becoming back to what it was, 10, 15 years ago, where it's more of kind of a niche thing. Some people are really into it. But it's, probably only your hardcore players are going to be interested or even kind of care about your esports leagues. And I kind of feel like, in this case, that's probably all right. It's kind of like, guys, do what you got to do. And for them, it's just a simple bean counting exercise.
Yeah.
What is going to make us the most money? I mean, it's unfortunate for the players because it is their livelihood for a lot of these guys. But that's just kind of the cold, stark reality of it. That North American esports just isn't that as popular as I think we thought it might be by now. It seemed like there was a time when it was going to become a pretty big deal. And now it's kind of back to being on the back burner, it feels like.
Well, I think, as Americans, we want to be the greatest and the best. And, it's just like, I kind of equate it to professional soccer. Okay. U.S. has the Major League Soccer League. However, if the Major League Soccer League were to fold up tomorrow, there would still be a shit ton of top-notch soccer. Not saying that the MLS is not top-notch soccer, but let's be honest, when a soccer player, the MLS, does really, really good, they immediately get poached by probably one of the European leagues because that is the bigger pond. And so, it's nice when you see I guess the only game that I've really, I mean, it's probably changed since the early days of this, but in the early days of the Smite World Championship, it was the Americans and the Europeans who always brought home the goods. It was never the Asian teams. Now, if you look at, League of Legends or StarCraft or something like that, it's kind of reverse. Would be like the perfect Cinderella run of all time for an American team and maybe a European team to win, League of Legends World.
But would anybody actually know about
it? If an American team won it, then yeah, they would know about it for about a month, and then everyone after that would be like, "What was that game again? What did we do? We beat somebody. We did something. Did we actually win? I don't know. What did it matter? Bring me some football."
Yeah. I mean, I think in the case of I think the other big thing with esports is it doesn't probably push the needle for the popularity of the game a whole lot. Meaning, in esports, League of Legends League isn't going to bring new eyeballs to watching League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
You're only going to really watch League of Legends esports if you're already playing it. Versus American football, that's something like random people watch because it's on at the TV at the house, so everyone sees the advertising for the eyeballs.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. I think it's about marketing. And there's got to be, you have to find a way to make it, I don't want to say palatable, but understandable to the general public. If you could do that, then you can start getting, because as you said, if you're not into League of Legends, you don't give a shit. If you're not into Smite, you don't give a shit. If you're not into Overwatch, you don't give a shit. If you're, if you're hanging out somewhere in the U.S. during the fall/winter and there's a football game on, you may not give a shit, but you know that there are a ton of random people of all walks of life who will at least take a glance and be like, "Ooh, that looked cool," or "touchdown," because they know the vernacular.
Why do you think the NFL's doing their first ever Black Friday football game this football season.
Yeah.
That exact reason.
Yeah.
People will either be out shopping and spending money or at home and spending money. And hey, why not watch some football while you're at it?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I, you know, it, I just don't know how video games will ever get to that level. I mean, hell, the closest you're gonna get are those the Madden leagues, which are absolute trash in my opinion, but whatever.
The one difference you may see is because now you're starting to see schools that have like eSports leagues.
Right.
That we did not have when we were growing up.
No.
So you are going to start seeing in about 5 to 10 years a generation of people start entering the workforce who grew up, with esports leagues in schools and kids who did it and played it. But kind of as you alluded to, we are America, and like your traditional athletic sports like football and basketball and baseball are so entrenched in our psyche.
Yep.
That it's going to be very hard to overcome that.
Well, you're still gonna. I mean, like, look, there's a ton of amazing sports out there that have been around for however long Zealeus and I've been around, and and the fact of the matter is that there are still the big three: basketball, football, and baseball. And if you live in the North, hockey. Or if you live in Florida for some weird ass reason, hockey. But outside of that, I mean, there's tons of sports that have niche fandoms, and
the big one now, it's pickleball, man.
Yeah, that they've got professional athletes who are purchasing pickleball teams, which makes me scratch my head like, what? Whatever.
Maybe that's what they're missing out on. Is our pickleballs. That's what we should bring to MomoCon next year. Like MomoCon, you have all this room down in Hall B. You have plenty of space for some pickleball courts.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
You could have like a face-off between Cloud and Sephiroth to really see who is going to win the heart of Ares. Literally and metaphorically.
Oh boy. I don't know what to say about that, Zealeus. I don't.
Too far.
You have me speechless, good sir. Speechless. But since I am speechless, I'm gonna cheat and look at something that I can give you a speech about, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, there are phenomenal individuals that help Ultra Confusion be the best that Ultra Confusion could be, and those are friends of the show. These are the individuals who have helped us in so many ways, and so every single Thursday night hangout, we'd like to take a quick stop and thank them for their amazingness. So let's start off with a company that was very, very visible at MomoCon because they are amazing individuals. That, of course, is the Indie Cluster. The Indie Cluster is an organization of independent game developers that want to gain exposure by being involved in the community. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth to help gain attention for their games. They make partnerships in local communities to bring games to the mainstream mindset. They highlight local, unusual, and rare concepts to challenge the paradigm of the common. They also host events to teach kids and minority groups about game development to hopefully one day enter the industry themselves. For more information, go to indiecluster.com. The next shout out we got to give is to an individual who in the past has always been hard at work at MomoCon, but unfortunately because his new job was unable to make it to MomoCon this year, and that, of course, is Noodleboy Media. Founded in 2015 by Andrew Tran, Noodleboy Media, previously WhackKid47 Media, is your choice for professional photo shoots and panel recordings at conventions. They pride themselves in providing a high level of professionalism, top-notch experiences, and quality services. If you want more information and to view their full list of services, check out facebook.com/noodleboymedia. And another usual staple of MomoCon, who unfortunately had to miss out on this year's MomoCon, is the doctor himself that helps with all those aches and pains from way too many hours of gaming. Though, is there any such thing as too many hours of gaming? Anyways, any of those pains and aches that you get while gaming, ladies and gentlemen, Hero Chiropractic is a unique healthcare practice set up by Ryan Moore. The company's focus to elevate a patient's experience of freedom, creative expression, and joy. They believe that everyone can be a hero and has incredible heroic potential inside themselves waiting to be unleashed. Hero Chiropractic focuses on mobile chiropractic care in the greater Atlanta area. They're committed to healing clients by creating a plan of action uniquely suited for each person. They make that plan of action as convenient and affordable as possible, and most importantly, suited to your individual needs. For more information, go to herochiropractic.com. Next shout out we gotta give is to the maestro himself, ladies and gentlemen, CrossPad Creative. Need a new logo or want to work on a full branding and content strategy? Or maybe you need music or audio for your content. Just like Ultra Fusion, CrossPad Creative offers a whole host of solutions for individuals and small businesses. Just email Josh at crosspadcreative@gmail.com and see what he can do for you. The final shout out we got to give is to the original Patreon, and that, of course, is Agile Axiom. By day, Axe leads both a development team and system administration team working for satellites at NASA's Goddard campus. But while not in meetings, and many times during, he is the Agile evangelist Agile Axe, championing the philosophy of Agile and trying to make the world a better place for software developers, testers, system admins, and software projects the world over. Decades of experience in software development and leading Agile teams are brought to bear against evil processes, inefficient work, and bad habits. For more information, go to agileaxiom.com and also check out his book. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know that you are dying to know, how do I become a friend of the show? And that, my friends, is quite simple. Ladies and gentlemen, we survive on the love and support of fans like you, and so we have a Patreon page. Patreon lets you, the fans, lovers, haters, demigods, interdimensional beings, gods, demons, aliens, mummies, vampires, werewolves, and so much more to become active participants in the work we love through a monthly membership. This gives you access to exclusive content, community, and insight into our creative process. In exchange, we gain a bit more freedom to do our best work and the stability we need to build an even stronger creative career. Currently, we have two tiers. That's two tiers. That you can pledge at. There is the $1 a month or $12 a year tier. And what that gets you is early access to all the playthroughs, as well as patron-only posts to help shape the future of Ultra Fusion. Now, if you're feeling a little bit more spicy, you could jump up to the $5 a month. That's $5 a month or $60 a year. Not only does that give you everything at the $1 tier, but also basically grants you your name or organization added to every single friends of the show section of every single Thursday night hangout. So if you want to become a patron of Ultra Confusion, go to Patreon, that's patreon.com/Ultra Confusion, and be a patron today. Now, of course, the other huge shout out we always have to give, because this is something super duper important to Ultra Confusion, and that is Ultra Confusion is proud to say that we have been fundraising for Extra Life for 12 years straight. Extra Life is gamers doing what they do best, game, to help sick and injured children at their chosen Children's Miracle Network hospital. The money that we raise through Extra Life will go directly to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta as unrestricted funds. This means that the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars we raise make the biggest impact in the lives of the kids they treat. So if you have the capacity to donate, please go to extra-life.org and search for Altered Confusion today. All right, so, yes, please. Extra Life is still, a ways off, but we want to show them as much love and support. I believe it's, we always do the 24-hour Game-a-thon in early November, and we would love all the love and support that you can give us.
And now that we're in June, that's only 3 months away.
Which is spooky.
It always comes around sooner than we think it will.
That's not 3 months.
4 months? 5 months? I don't even know. I can't count right now.
5. June is the 6th month.
I was I was so excited for it. I was just playing on it earlier than it really is.
See, Zealeus just wants to do the game-a-thon as soon as possible. Okay, let's just be honest. He's
I
ready
think
to
we
go.
can actually just do it tonight. Let's just stay up all night. Play
As much
video games.
as much as I would love to do that, I will fully admit I am still absolutely on empty after MomoCon. One, I have not had the massive amounts of energy drinks that I had at MomoCon to keep me going. And two, I've had to return to the normal world and do my 9 to 5 job on top of trying to get Altered Fusion stuff done.
Fair enough.
So unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be a 24-hour game-a-thon in Charlie's near future, but one can can wish and hope. I put hope and wish together and made Hosh. But I do the one thing that I going back to the MomoCon videos, the one thing I do want to point out, I know that I said that the video games changed for the good video was messed up, but it is nice to know that the one humongous Zealeus error was actually recorded. So we get to harp on that.
Wait, I made an error?
Yeah, when you were trying to, you were talking about Defense of the Ancients, and you going, yeah, World of Warcraft 3. I said, no, Warcraft. He goes, it wasn't the original Warcraft. Like, no, it's Warcraft 3. There's no such thing as World of Warcraft 3. And you're like, oh, that was, ironically, that's basically right where the video stops.
I cursed it at that point. It's like, all right, I've had enough of this shit.
So it's like, no more.
I'm done with you. Be gone, Blizzard.
But yeah. I don't know. There's going to be a lot that I've got to get through. I'm really excited about a lot of the interviews. Or hell, I'm excited about all the interviews. I really wish I had a little bit more time to like sit down and play some of those games. But I did. So some of the games that I did do interviews for is a game called Bug and Seek, which is the more like the kids' educational game where you're running around a town, you're trying to collect these bugs to basically create it's kind of like an aquarium for bugs. So an insectarium is what they call it in the game.
Wait, learning?
Yes. So the first time you catch a bug, it gives you a little bit of extra information. Then after that, it just says you caught another one of these. And it's pretty solid. I do also like the fact that developers were very open to critiques. Because I said, hey, this is something you should think about, and they wrote down everything, which was awesome.
They were right. This dude is a dick. Why does he keep talking to me? I don't care. I'm just scribbling now.
No, I think that they know that I know a thing or two about video games. So I played that one. I played the Retro Blazer game, which was the first-person shooter, kind of like it gave you that Doom feel, but with like the Borderlands type of like art style with like the heavy black lines.
Style.
Huh?
Like the shell, it's the cell style.
Yeah.
Cell shaded, yeah.
That was a solid game. I really liked the fluid feel of the movement. Now, of course, I sucked at the game and I died a lot, but it was a very entertaining game. I didn't unfortunately get to play the horror game. I kind of did want to. I didn't get to play the like the space kind of tower defense looking game. I didn't get to play that one. I got to play. What did I get to play? I'm trying to remember. I did get to play the game I think it's called Aaron's Gift.
Yeah, I see you watching that.
Yeah.
Did you ever play the Mahjong game?
No. By the time I got around there, he was gone. He was only there for a day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was.
Because the dude had he said a bunch of other games too. I remember.
Yes, it was a bunch of RPG games. Which if you hit his website, it's a bunch of basically baby builders. So it's basically they're all like virtual baby like games where you kind of level up the baby. That's the RPG.
Okay.
Yep.
That's not what I had in my head for an RPG, but I will take your word for it.
Yes. I feel like there was another game that we interviewed. I mean the Dungeon Defenders guys finally interviewed Narn and his game.
Nice. Dimensionalist.
Elementalist Rift. Something like that.
Dimensionalist Rift.
Something
I
like
got
that.
it. I finally said it right after many years. I didn't even know it had the dimension in there.
Yes. So we got that one. I mean, there are quite a few games that I'm looking forward to. Let's just put it that way. And I really wish I got to sit down and actually play the card game Flawed, because it sounded really interesting. I just ran out of time. But the thing about MomoCon is that, as we've said, it's expanded. You've got your indie game section. You've got a lot of tabletop stuff going on. You have the Dungeons and Dragons, Adventure League stuff. Hell, you even had like a foam sword deal going on. You've got a bunch of VR stuff. It's a lot of fun. What can I say?
Yeah, the whole downstairs, they had the whole you could do the film fighting. Look, quite entertaining.
Yes. And then of course, once the bigger names showed up for like the pencil and paper RPGs, you had a lot of like big names running games. So,
where were the pen and pencil RPGs at? I didn't see them.
I don't remember. You would have to look at the list. I can't. All I know is that once the bigger names showed up with their products, those things were booked.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Absolutely, very good. Yeah, very good thing. I do wish that one of these days I'm actually going to do one of those group interviews again. It's just the group interviews that they did. Ultra Confusion is not. I mean, we support cosplayers, but Ultra Confusion fans and traffic is not cosplayers.
I'm a traffic person. Come on.
Yes, but if I named a bunch of these cosplayers that are being interviewed, I don't think you would have recognized a single name.
It's probably an accurate statement.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I was.
Now, is that what most of the group interviewers were of the cosplayers?
So I think there was about a third of them were cosplayers, and then like 2/3 of them were voice actors, and there was a couple of voice actors I'd be interested in, but unfortunately, that time was spent better interviewing the indie developers, which is of course Ultra Confusion's main focus.
Of course, that is a very important part. So.
Yes. So, but yeah, let's just say that in the days, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the amount of steps I took equaled like a month worth of steps.
You can lay in your bed for the next 30 days.
If only.
It's not how it works?
No.
Oh.
No, it's not, unfortunately. But I will be returning to play Zelda Tears of the Kingdom this weekend. I've just been so drained.
I started playing this week, finally, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Nice.
It's a tight game. I'm enjoying it very muchly so.
Yes. The unfortunate thing is when you get to the end of that and you can't continue the story and you just want to strangle somebody.
It's like, wait, no, but there's more.
Yes.
How many parts? Is it a 2 or 3 part?
I think it's a trilogy.
3?
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord. Like, by the time it was part 3, we're going to be on the PS6 at this point.
Maybe. Who knows?
They're taking their dear sweet time.
I don't know. All I know is that after playing that first one, I really want the second one. I do want the second one.
Is there like a release date for it?
I don't think so.
Next winter.
There you go. Next winter.
So we got a while.
Just a bit. Give or take a month or 2 or 7 or 11.
Too many.
Mm-hmm.
I want it now.
Yes.
Is that too much to ask?
Yes, it is too much to ask. Sorry. Not sorry. But it's the truth.
Yep, we got a while. But what can you do? That's the story. Oh, video games. What can you do?
Exactly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that Zealeus, do you have any other topics you want to bring up?
I've been looking at reviews of Diablo 4.
And
Oh, unfortunately, for my potential wallet, they look overwhelmingly positive, honestly. Basically everything about it, it has the not auction, good gosh. The action combat that you come to expect from Diablo games. Apparently that's always been one of the fortes, like all the other, live auction market house, the microtrans, like all the other crap aside, the combat itself has always been exceptional.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're a slaughtering machine who just goes around doing crazy action RPG things. Apparently Diablo 4 is no different. I played the open beta, which I enjoyed. But apparently, the full game now just picks up on that is great. Because that's when you start getting to like the level 50 Paragon skills and other stuff. So based on that, there's a actually increased chance I'll get it. But I'm still at least going to wait till the real people actually get to play the game and see what they think. Because everything I've seen is that the battle pass, microtransaction crap, which on one hand, it's cosmetic only, which is okay, but still definitely rubs me the wrong way when you're paying $70 for a game and it still has the paid microtransactions. It's still very scummy to me. And I know the argument is obviously it's microtransact or it's cosmetic only. It doesn't actually affect your power, but it's still when you're paying $70 for the full game. It's different for a game like, Path of Exile 2, or not 2, Path of Exile 1 has a bunch of microtransactions for cosmetics, but it's also free to play. So I'm still going to wait and see. But everything I've read about it is it's looking pretty damn good.
Sure.
But first I must finish Final Fantasy 7.
And I will try to finish Zelda as quickly as possible so I can play other games. But I don't foresee that happening anytime soon because the game's humongous.
I hear it's already like basically in the one of the favorites for a Game of the Year awards.
Well, the part, one of the mechanics in the game is you could kind of like piece all these things together and make these machines. And some of the designs and creations that people have already come up with are just amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
It's the coolest thing. At the same time, like, I would never be able to do that. Like, I would, yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so what was your favorite thing you saw at MomoCon?
My favorite thing that I saw at MomoCon.
You just say favorite thing about it or saw, whatever. Just favorite thing about it.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I have to say that just the overall, like, I just loved being at MomoCon. The whole vibe of it, I enjoy it. Now, I wish there last year, because we were coming off of COVID and there was like mask restrictions and it didn't see as many people. I'd say that now seeing it at like, I guess, like full power, the all full speed up, they definitely need to fix some congestion points, some of the freaking escalators, like keeping
Yes.
Once you're on the vendor floor, trying to get out of the off the vendor floor is nuts.
Yeah, because like half the time the elevator bank close, like in the vendor hall, basically was like closed.
Yep.
It's like, okay, yeah, that was odd.
And and Zealeus and I talked about this off air beforehand. The vendor rows didn't seem lined up right. And there didn't seem to be as many like volunteers helping with traffic as there have been in the past. So there was a lot of congestion in random ass places.
The good thing is the vendor aisles were spaced well enough. So when you're walking in the actual aisles, you could pretty well move. I mean, you'll always have your typical blockages when it's busy, but nothing crazy.
Right.
What I saw on the traffic flow is what you're alluding to with the weird aisles is where you had the artist alley, was just oddly laid out.
Yep.
And the odd layout created bad traffic jams that were just not necessary. It's almost like what I actually like what they do at Dragon Con is they have like a separate pop-up artist alley that's separate than the main vendor hall. And I really like that because you're always going to have your vendor hall where you can buy your normal wares, right?
Right.
But like I actually make my own art stuff is a different kind of section that that's what I go to a lot for the vendor hall is that stuff. And you kind of separate that a little bit. And I think they could have done that. They kind of did that, but it actually made the traffic flow worse with the way they did it.
Yeah.
Because it was just so oddly, because like aisles were just back to each other. So like if you were at one stall, you were actually backed up into another aisle.
Yep.
So people trying to walk around couldn't. And it just created really weird traffic flow issues.
Yep.
But like you said, there were so many more people this year than last year. I mean, that's just something that I'm sure they learned will be fixed for next year. Like I have no concerns about that.
Yeah. I also, to be totally honest with you, I feel like without Ultra Confusion being there, the fan table section wasn't the same.
I don't even think I honestly walked by the fan table section.
I walked by a couple times just when I was trying to stretch my legs because you have to go by there to get to the Walk of Fame.
Yes, you do. Yep.
But
that is true.
But
it was as always, like I said, it's a great convention.
Yep.
I do kind of miss that they relayed out the way you get to the CNN Center. So it used to be like the way you would leave the convention hall, you basically had to walk past a quad.
Yep.
And kind of I'd say my one legitimate, and maybe not legitimate, not the right word. My one complaint about MomoCon, there's not really a great cosplay like congregation center. It's like other conventions like Dragon Con, like you go to the third floor to the Marriott. That's just where you just chill, you hang out. There's not really a great spot for that at MomoCon because it's like if I want to take like pictures of people, kind of like, that type of stuff. It's kind of awkward. Like when you're in the vendor hall, you want to take a picture of somebody like as they're shopping for someone. It's a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
Versus like when you're at like a, atrium level area, it's very obvious that you're there to just kind of chill and do stuff like that. So that'd be like the one thing about MomoCon that's kind of because the cosplays were phenomenal.
Yes.
Some were just nuts.
Yes.
So that'd be like kind of like one thing from a layout because you lost that in kind of going back to CNN because you used to have that where people just kind of hang out at the outdoor quad center, going from basically the convention hall escalators out to the CNN Center.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a natural congregating area. You just didn't really have that this year.
Yeah, I think they probably could do a better job of like designating some more better areas for like cosplay pictures instead of just, people you either trap them when they're in line for something or you're right. They're trying to buy something and you're constantly going, can I take a picture? Can I take a picture? Can I take a picture?
Yeah. So like I say, overall great convention,
Yeah.
Definitely a well-run convention and
Yep.
happy it's still successful.
Yep. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've reached the end of our show. I do want to thank everyone for tuning into the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure to get ready to cover our heads, our mouths, and, of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout.
And remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.